And straight to Iran's capital, Tehran, where thousands took to the streets to express their anger over America's reimposing all pre-2015 sanctions. The demonstrations also marked the 39th anniversary of the U.S. embassy takeover in that city. Demonstrators chanted slogans and set fire to American and Israeli flags. The restrictions which the people are decrying came into force hours ago. The sanctions target Iran's oil, banking and shipping sectors and follow Washington's withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal, as Murad Gazdiev reports.
These sanctions come into force now, on the 5th of November in the U.S. 39 years plus a day since the Iranian revolutionaries stormed the U.S. embassy in Tehran in 1979. America really holds grudges.
The rogue regime in Iran spread death, destruction, and chaos. The Iranian dictatorship's long campaign remains the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism.
The guy even tweeted a picture of himself styled after the Game of Thrones TV show, with the message that sanctions are coming. A play on winter is coming. Why he did this remains a mystery, since everyone knew that they were coming. He and his government all said this months ago. Iran spent many years under these same sanctions, cut off from the world's banking system, foreign trade, its oil under embargo. And despite that, Iran's oil exports never dropped below 1 million barrels a day, roughly half of what they are now. It can survive. It already has survived these sanctions.
We are well experienced when it comes to sanctions. Do not doubt that under the worst circumstances, Iranians can export as much oil as they need to.
Regarding oil sanctions, we have experienced similar restrictions in the past, and we've managed to get by somehow. So, we now have more experience than we did back then. Moreover, we now have the international community on our side.
These sanctions are unilateral sanctions. This means that the international community will not support them. Based on that, I don't think America will be able to achieve its goals.
While strangling the Iranians into submission seems unrealistic, nevertheless, you can't laugh these sanctions off. Officially, Washington wants to deprive the Iranian regime of money it uses to spread terror, without targeting ordinary people. In theory, humanitarian goods such as life-saving medication are exempted from sanctions. In practice, everyone is so terrified of US sanctions, of how ambiguous they are, that banks and companies simply refuse to sell Iran that very medication. And the US doesn't seem to care. It's their problem.
The sanctions imposed by the US, which they say will target our government, will definitely affect people's lives, putting much more pressure on us. Even though these sanctions haven't manifested themselves on the market yet, they are already on people's minds and causing them a lot of worry.
Every year or every 2 to 3 years, they say new sanctions will be imposed, so people have gotten used to sanctions. But that doesn't mean we accept them and it doesn't hurt. It means we've had them so long, they don't affect us anymore.
Medicines are hard to come by because of sanctions. No doubt, if you are caring for a patient, your life is affected by these sanctions. Sanctions decrease the quality of life, as people cannot now obtain things they used to obtain easily before.
Washington's sanctions hurt ordinary Iranians the most, and this is something we have to understand. Sanctions are not something that is cool or fun, as Donald Trump seems to suggest in his latest Game of Thrones meme. The kind of feeling Iranians, average people as well as Iranian leaders currently have regarding the US is Donald Trump has created a lot of mistrust and anger among Iranians, because from the Iranian perspective, Iran has been completely obliging its part of the deal. Although these sanctions have had a negative effect, that necessarily doesn't mean that Iran is going to concede to the United States.
Signatories to the 2015 nuclear deal have reacted to America's decision. Russia, China and the EU say they will do everything possible to keep the agreement alive. Moscow insists Tehran has been in full compliance with the treaty, while China says the US must respect its right to trade with Tehran. Israel, though, has welcomed Trump's decision.